cheesy, and garlic.
I thought it was a costume party.
Get together already.
With Tostitos.
We need to get going. Where is he with the presents?
It's the same every year. He always leaves it to the last minute. Ho, ho, ho!
About time.
Red Bull!
And us?
Yes, Santa! What about us?
Oh, you should be happy. From now on, you get Christmas off. Red Bull gives me wings.
Thursday Night Football on Fox, NFL Network, and streaming on Prime Video.
Guys, this may be the last time you ever have to think about hair loss. Because I'm telling you, Bosley is the real deal. They're giving men their hair back permanently. Their real hair. All it takes to get started on the hair gain train is a single text message. You'll get an absolutely free information kit and a free gift card when you text MANLY to 654-654. Check them out now. Bosley will show you for free how great your hair could look. Dude, this isn't your dad's hair loss treatment. People all over the country trust Bosley because they're America's #1 hair restoration expert. Ahead of the curve with the latest technology. And the best part, Bosley's solution is permanent. You're going to love what they'll do for your hair. So drop what you're doing long enough to send a text. Get your free information kit and gift card for $250 off by texting MANLY to 654-654. Don't forget, that's MANLY to 654-654.
First Things First is sponsored by Gillette, the best a man can get.
We'll get to the Vikings shaking up their offense in a second, but first... Oh, did you see that? Kentucky high school basketball. That's a Xavier commit right there. Kiki Tandy dunks on a 7-footer.
Oh, my goodness.
That's a 7-footer he put it on, too?
Yep.
That was frightening.
Oh. Where did you say he's a commit to? Xavier?
Xavier.
Yeah, oh, yeah, right there in Cincinnati.
Oh, my.
Oh, they play good basketball there. Hope we see him in the tournament.
All right, in the NBA now, Blazers at Rockets. Chris Paul between the legs creates space before making a jumper. Watch it again. 1, 2, 3.
That was one of CP3's 2 made baskets last night, but he did have a triple-double, and they won.
Yeah, I'm worried about Chris Paul.
Oh, I'm very concerned.
Oh, the car is running out of gas. When small guys in the NBA, when their career, man, they fall off. I'm talking about they fall off sharp,
Right
like
side.
overnight.
Only about 150 million left on the... Oh, my God!
Finally, Spurs Suns. Rudy Gay blocks Josh Jackson, leads the break for the easy finger roll.
Oh,
You guys got really
special
into
now.
him today.
Rudy Gay's made a huge comeback after a couple injuries going to San Antonio. He's really resurrected his career, had a surprising year last year. Nice to see him playing, man. Really an underrated basketball player.
Underrated career is exactly what I was about to say. The totality of it from UConn to now playing this long, that was a great play.
All right, let's
Love
talk
that.
some Minnesota Vikings. We spent a good deal of yesterday's This Here show discussing the trials and tribulations of Minnesota's offense, questioning some of the decision-making by first-year offensive coordinator John DeFilippo. Vikings had the same concerns. Yesterday, they fired DeFilippo. With reason, the Vikings had only scored 17 combined points in their last 2 games. Minnesota trying to hold on to that 6th spot in the playoffs with Miami, Detroit, and Chicago left on the schedule. CC, what was your reaction to the news?
It's hard to be surprised when you know the disconnect. And it's just a lesson in life for people, young, old, intermediate people, midlife, whatever.
Intermediate.
Yeah, because, some people don't like
midlife, exactly. Don't like middle-aged. We call it intermediate aged.
Bill Parcells, he says it one way. He says that, Chris, as a football player, if you ever want to get your coach's attention, just do exactly what he says. And do it with all the energy and might and in football intelligence that you can do it. People, America, if your boss asks you to do something, do it with all your might, all the intelligence, all the resources around you. Because simply in Minnesota, that's what it boils down to. Mike Zimmer wants to play football a certain way. The team is built a certain way. and he wants to be able to play. Even though they do play indoors, he wants to play a rugged style. He wants to have a top-5 defense. He wants to be able to have some playmakers on the outside. He preferred to be able to run the football. Yep. Now, the weakest unit they have on their team is their offensive line. This is a talented football team. They should have more wins than what they do, but it's for the style for which they play. You can't, regardless of who the quarterback is, you can't have a quarterback you're not going to support with a running game. And when the defense, which last year, #1 in defense, this year, number 11, you move down 10 spots, let me tell you what kind of quarterback or what type of adjustment those offenses are going to have to make, because all those extra time you're on the field, all those time you're chasing points, you're not getting turnovers, you're not playing on a short field. That's not the way the Minnesota Vikings are built. So even though you do have Kirk Cousins, they didn't say when they signed him, they gave him the money. They didn't say they're going to back him up to pass 45 times a game. That's no recipe, because he's not supposed to be Aaron Rodgers. He's not supposed to be Drew Brees. He is an improvement from what they had, but they're just not managing his talent and that offense as far as Dalvin Cook, and the concentration should be on that offensive line, trying to be more physical, play action pass, because Thielen and Diggs, they have thrived with Kirk Cousins being there. So it's impossible for 2 receivers, young receivers, to thrive the way they have this season and the quarterback play not be good. It's the game planning and the lack of, I'm going to attack them down the middle of the field, either the tight end or someone else, and getting the ball to the running backs between the tackles, having a consistent rush attack.
And to your point about listening to your boss, if you and I take a car trip together and you've driven it before and you know the way, and you say, Nick, here's the way to go. And I say, no, I know a better way. I know a shortcut. That's fine. But if we get lost on the shortcut, you're going to be a hell of a lot more angry than if I went the way you said and we get lost. And John DeFilippo tried to say, oh, I know what you're trying to do. I know what you think. I know a better way. And if you do that and you're wrong, that's how you get fired 13 games into your tenure as the offensive coordinator.
What was the better way?
Well,
what did DeFilippo think was the better way?
Oh, pass is what he called sexy yesterday. Scoring points through the passing game. Trying to be the 98 Vikings all over again.
Trying to make a splash.
Right.
Trying to make yourself more sexy for your interview and everything.
Well, that's...
Trying to listen to the talking heads and everything. Oh, he's the next bright, young mind. Really? Well, what had he done till this point before we anointed him?
Well, that's the... I mean, listen, a lot of guys seem to ride the wave of the 2 games Case Keenum played, or Case Keenum, pardon me, Nick Foles played in the NFC Championship game, the Super Bowl, as you were talking about earlier before the show. And I think Frank Reich probably got some credit for what Carson Wentz was turning into as well, as did DeFilippo, but really was about NFC Championship game, Super Bowl. Now everyone's getting promoted. But your point about listen to your boss, another lesson is when you get a job, you got to ask yourself, are you doing that job for that job or for your next job? Because if as soon as you get a job, you're thinking about how this job can position me to your next job, sometimes that next job don't come around. And I'm not saying necessarily that's what happened with John DeFilippo, but that's what it felt like watching. It felt like John DeFilippo was trying to simultaneously win games for the Vikings while make himself look good for his next job. And he just got this job. And so maybe the right decision would have been, hey, my head coach would prefer me not run the ball a smaller percentage of time than the Minnesota Vikings ever have. Let me mix in a few more runs. We do have Dalvin Cook coming back from an injury. We do have a quarterback who's new to the system, who, while has more talent than Case Keenum, there are also some weaknesses to his game that if we have the entirety of our offense be around Kirk Cousins' game, that might be a recipe to go 500.
A couple days ago, you made a really good point that the way the Chiefs and the Rams are playing shouldn't necessarily be considered the standard in the NFL, because that standard has gotten a lot of teams tripped up. It got the Cowboys tripped up. It seemingly got the Vikings tripped up. That not every team can subscribe to that recipe of just high offense, high octane, throw it. That some teams can be successful if they don't do that, and the Vikings seemingly fell into that.
There's not going to be a team that's going to be successful in the NFL this year. They've changed the rules, but let me tell you, it's gotten cold. That football is not meant to be played with in cold weather. Those offenses have slowed down to a halt. Watching the Chiefs game. Oh, 2 minutes left in the game. How many points they have?
17.
17. Watching the Rams. Oh, it was below freezing
they were
in Chicago.
6.
Did they score a touchdown?
No.
Oh,
and
all
the
right.
Saints the week before.
Yeah, now the Vikings got perfect conditions 8 games. So you have to realize you have to be such a superior passing team if you're going to develop that style. But the away team has the same advantage. Because if you're going to play your game, you have to build the team around what the head coach wants and how you're going to play. They play in Green Bay every year and in Chicago. You can't beat those teams without a running game.
And the other, you mentioned the Rams, I'll bring in the Saints. Like, when the Saints were trying to play this type of football, nothing but passing, with a quarterback demonstrably better than Kirk Cousins, they're 7-9.
Yep.
Like, when Drew Brees' yardage numbers and pass attempts numbers are way down these last 2 years because why? They got a running game. The best player on the Rams offense, it's not Jared Goff or Brandon Cooks, it's their running back, Todd Gurley. What has made Chris concerned about the Chiefs is not the injury to Tyreek Hill, or it's that Kareem Hunt is no longer on the football team. You're going to need a running game to be able to win. Yeah, it's nice to have all the rules. Yeah, this new NFL. Let me tell you, November, December, look at the numbers now. And that's based on weather. And also, these guys are paid millions of dollars to be able to slow these franchises down. And they're starting to get to the quarterback. Yeah. They're starting to figure that part out. And the points are way, way down than what we saw in September and October.
All right, let's take a break there. Coming up, how will history remember this Warriors dynasty? Kevin Durant has his own ideas. We'll talk some basketball. That's next. This is First Things First.
During the Ram Big Finish event, there's no better time to get a great deal on the trucks with best-in-class towing.
You make it feel like Christmas.
And the all-new Ram 1500, 2019 Motor Trend Truck of the Year. Hurry in before the Ram Big Finish event is finished.